This is the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? Here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm gonna bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Well, I remember that one.
Classic Tony Stewart. Classic. How's that sound? Does it look
Spot on, brother. Spot on. Tri-County Motor Speedway had something like that happening.
Didn't they?
You
Good
don't,
God.
do not. I mean, for one thing, you don't need to do that anyway. I like what they always say at H&P. It's like the officer comes over and says, if you guys are going to be doing this, go to General Dollar or whatever that place is called.
Dollar General.
Dollar General. But dude, a torque wrench, for crying out loud. God bless America, man. That's not cool. That's not cool. I'm not good with that. I'm not good with that. You guys wanna fight it out? That's great, but it's not the way to solve it.
And that was the one girl or woman was sitting there swinging.
What the fuck? Yeah, what was that all about? Well, sorry about that. That was almost a big slip. Yeah.
I mean, what was
yeah.
It looked like it's like trying to beat a dead horse with something, man. I mean, it was rough.
Yeah, that one there. She's all over it right there. But we know it gets a little heated at times. But we do welcome you into a great show. I mean, coming up here in just a little bit, we're going to talk to Jared Fryer. Jared Fryer is going to be a part of the program. Then we are going to talk at 7 o'clock. We'll talk to J.J. Day. 7:30, Phil Whipple. So lots to talk about. And, I mean, I know people don't care about NASCAR Cup racing and all that stuff on here. But, my goodness, this is a big-ass week. This is a monumental week when it comes to Austin because we may have had – you know, I know Bobby Allison, Terry Labonte, all of these guys, AJ Foyt, may have been out to Speedorama at various points or whatever the hell. But to have Cup, Trucks, and Xfinity, not necessarily in that order, to be in town, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal.
That's a massive deal for Austin and a massive deal for the Cup Series.
It's actually a massive deal for us.
It's finally great
for this
us.
little show.
Yeah,
yeah, man. Are you kidding me, man? Yeah, it's like we've been on this mission. It seems like forever. And hell, it's like it finally paid off.
It is unique the way that everything has shaken out. We've been hearing rumors about COTA coming forever. 3 or 4 years now we've heard about COTA coming with some of the different insiders that we talked to on this show, and then all of a sudden the rumblings were getting higher and higher and higher, and then all of a sudden then last year, boom, here comes that 2021 schedule, and there it is, COTA. It's like, wow,
yep.
How did they make that happen? Then you found out SMI
Sure.
was a lot to do with it and stuff like that, but
makes sense.
You know, it's great to have COTA here, or great to have COTA in the backyard, but it's even better when you get to the top 3 series of NASCAR showing up to a world-class racing facility.
Yeah. Get out there and support that if you can. And we've pulled up right there. We're going to have a lot of programming over on the Horn. That's at hornfm.com and on that free Horn app. Saturday, we'll have our regular show that is 11 to noon. We'll be live over at COTA. Then we got bonus coverage. Thanks to those great folks there at Genuine at ARN, Austin Radio Network, for getting us another hour and a half right there. We'll take you right up to the start of the Texas Grand Prix. All sorts of stuff on RevvedUpSportsShow.tv throughout the week and HornFM.com to where we'll get you locked and loaded, and we're very excited. We're very excited to get you going for all of that, but that's going to be good. The question, they're a torque wrench or a jack handle. I mean, I don't know. I guess 6 one, half a dozen of the other, or whatever that old saying is. But it's, I mean, I know. I mean, I know it gets heated and everything, but come on, it's no need for that. Speaking of COTA and speaking of local, we've known this for about a week, but we get another Logan Bearden to make his launch into NASCAR racing, and he will race at COTA in a Al Nice truck. Man.
Oh, did they finally announce that today?
It was announced today, and Logan messaged me right after it. He's like, "All right, we're good," because we have actually known about this for about a week. I mean, it's been just under a week that we've actually known about this, but it's something where it's definitely keep it under wraps. And and it's funny, they kept reminding me. It's like, okay, this dude's going to drink some Busch Lights and run his mouth. They're like, don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. But good for them, the Beardens. That's good folks. That's good folks right there, and they have a really good opportunity. It's going to be a challenge for Logan, but I think he's up for it. He's a good dude.
So let's see how many Texans are in that truck race now. You got
4.
Corey,
you
got
Bailey.
Austin Self, Bailey, and now Logan. And they all raced at Central Texas Speedway back in the day.
How cool is that? I mean, I think that's a really cool angle that we do have. We have our people in there, and I mean, I know that that's the first race of the weekend, and it's the 3rd tier series, but I don't give a damn. I mean, to me, that's one of the biggest storylines for us around here than the Cup thing. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
I wonder if we should message one of the guys for the truck series, like either Adam Alexander or somebody like that, and be like, hey, just so you know, 4 of the people in the truck series used to race late models at a short track that's no longer there for years.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Hopefully they'll pick up on it. They're definitely going to get a lot of coverage run down their throat here from the local level. But really good stuff right there. So congratulations to Logan, and be looking because we'll have some stuff out for him. Good interview with him hopefully coming up, and all of that good stuff. Great weekend for the dirt tracks. I mean, just looked like a huge weekend over at CBS. I missed this weekend, but man, 134 cars. That's pretty damn good. And CBS finally seems to be the beneficiary of weather luck.
Finally, there was some questions about it earlier in the day. Tough break for I-37. Johnny and the gang down there didn't get a chance to get their race in, but it definitely poured. It definitely poured further south than what they were talking about. Of course, they can't get the weather right. It wasn't supposed to rain that bad today like it rained up in Central Texas today. So
yeah, and it's definitely going to be. I know Friday night over at Waco, I was talking about, come on out next week, and we're gonna have the bike races, or they're gonna have the bike races and everything, and all of the tried and true Waco fans were like, we ain't racing next week. You seen the forecast? We're getting 6 inches of rain. It's pretty bad when they're calling it that, not the track, but it's pretty bad when those diehards are saying we ain't running.
Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know. It does get worse. The further north and kind of northeast you go, it does get a little worse in terms of what they're predicting for rain. So, I mean, they're predicting anywhere from 2 inches to 6 inches there in Austin this whole week. So I imagine them parking lots there at Coda are going to be nice and fun and typical, debut weather for Texas. Get a new racetrack.
Just like TMS.
Yeah, get a new racetrack, get a bunch of people stuck in the mud. I guess the only difference is these are more established parking lots now.
These are more pea gravel and all of that. And there's a lot of free parking, and that's not so new for NASCAR fans because it's usually free. But I know the Austin people are going to have their credit card ready, but it's like it's free, and good camping spots. I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there. Did I tell you that I got called to the principal's office Friday night at Waco?
What'd you do now?
Well, so I had posted on Facebook that I apologized to everyone because at the demo derby, I seriously didn't think that was going to be a Race on Texas part of that thing, and so I kind of let it fly. I kind of let it go off the cuff during the demo derby, and so I get to Waco Friday night, and Selby Holder, the promoter, he calls me over. He's in his golf cart, and he points to his passenger seat. He's like, "Sit here." And I was like, "Okay," and he said, I got 7 complaints about S-bombs and bad words from your video. Like, in Waco? But it wasn't the crowd. It wasn't the crowd.
If it was the video, it could have been all over. Race on Texas is worldwide with the internet. So.
Yeah. He's like, any chance you can tone that down? I'm like, yeah. I was thinking, man, am I about to get fired? Shit. Anyway.
Normally it's Joe that says the bad words,
Oh, he wasn't there that day. He wasn't there. He wasn't there that day. So so again, I apologize to anyone that may have been offended by all of that. I honestly didn't know that they were going to video that. So very sorry about that. Heart of Texas. And talking about car counts, I mean, 134 at CBS is really good, but still, you've got 105 on Saturday had 107. Hot on Friday had 107. That's there's a lot of dirt track racers in this state.
Well, a lot of them ended up. I mean, as far as the Waco goes, they rule Friday nights in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, they pull from all over. Back in the day, they used to pull a lot of the Texas Thunder guys that would race on Friday night in Waco and then race, Saturday night up at Stars and Stripes, Texas Thunder, whatever you want to call it, back in the day. But it's 134 cars at Cotton Bowl. A lot of it did have to do. I think that they normally average 100-ish cars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the rain out that added in, that's with 6 classes. I mean, that's 5 extra cars a class, really, if you really think about it, which is about what they had.
Well, and a lot of that was you had the Bandit Outlaws were in, and they had 24 cars, but at the same time the modifieds were off. Where the modifieds there at Waco usually pull 16, 17, 18. And with Cotton Bowl, and again, this is I'm just justifying the numbers here. I mean, Cotton Bowl, they had the dwarfs in, and I think the DCRST, I think there were 15, 16, 17 of those too. So it's a good balance there, and that touring class always helps when you have that in there. But more for 105. I mean, I don't think 105. I mean, 105 is just regular stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that their normal car count is right there in the hundreds every time. I'm sure somebody will get up on here and tell us that for the Facebook live feed. By the way, if you're on the YouTube feed, don't forget to hit the subscribe and hitting that little bell button, because the more subscribers we have over there in YouTube, the more fun we can have on that side of the world, since a lot of this stuff is Facebook focused. But if you're on the YouTube stream, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little bell to get things rolling on that side, so you're always aware of when we go live there on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. 57 cars for USMTS there, as Jason Hughes really gives it a good run, but Derek Ramirez is your winner there, and now he becomes the point leader. So 57 cars there for them. Again, that's it's really damn good.
It's pretty good.
Really damn good
for one class.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I mean, it's good. I mean, it's really good. Keep the comments coming. Seriously, guys, your thoughts on this whole, the fight situation. I mean, I know that yeah, I mean, it's part of the show. I mean, it's great, but in a sport where it seems like we're always trying to fight stereotypes and do whatever the hell that we're trying to overcome. Because short track racing is really the basis of racing, and we need to set a really good benchmark. I mean, when stuff like that happens, I mean, we're taking steps backwards. We're taking steps backwards, and that just kind of hurts us all in the long run.
Well, I think it does. You try to, like you said, the stereotype of the rednecks racing and rednecks fighting everywhere, that doesn't help. The video didn't get as much traction as I thought it was going to get. It feels like there's only been the one main video that's got it.
Yeah, it was on one of those, and it was on Barstool Sports.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's got to be with a jack handle or whatever the hell that was.
Torque wrench.
Torque wrench.
Even worse. I mean, because hell, if he got hit by the point, because I know that was Justin Carroll's dad that got hit by that, and apparently he had to go to the hospital, and he was obviously had some sort of injury there, where I don't know of a really soft way to get hit by a torque wrench or a jack handle and for it to not hurt. I mean, if anybody wants to volunteer, we can try it and see if we can hit someone and maybe it doesn't hurt them.
Yeah, CSI episode.
Yeah, a little investigation. We could give that a shot. When we talk to Jared here in a couple minutes, I would like to. So it looks like Hoosier got the tire situation figured out at Rockingham, and they will race on November the 6th. Are we? A lot of folks are excited about that, but I kind of feel like we've been through this drill before with Rockingham, where it's like, oh yeah, boom, boom, boom. Probably going to be a lot of people there. I've already seen people say, why are they racing when it's cooler? I mean, you got to take the dates that you can get, but I don't know. Should we be excited? I mean, people need to support the track no matter what it is. We've talked to folks on this show and then on the Saturday show to where it's like, yeah, come on out, but even if it's not the Cup Series or the Trucks or the Xfinity Series, come on out.
Yeah, anytime cars are racing at Rockingham, that's another track everybody wants to get up and running and ready to go to try to race again. So it's got to be one of those to where it. I mean, you got to support that racetrack. I mean, it's not very far. It's 6 miles from my grandmother's house, so We have lodging deals if we decide to go that far up to Rockingham, but right there on US 1. But Rockingham itself is a small town, and so they can't support the track on its own. I mean, even if they got to get a good crowd. You got to get 10,000 people in that grandstands for that race to even remotely make any kind of economical sense.
Yeah, but part of that back to that situation there where we were talking about that brawl over at Tri-County. That apparently that's something that has some history to it. I mean, there's been in the past there was a little bit of question there where. A driver may have made what that one team thought was a little bit of a questionable move or the driving at some point that they didn't agree with. And so it's something that was stemming, and it's really weird because you look from different comments from both sides, and they really don't understand why this just continues to escalate. But that's really what happens here, and I don't know if at some point somebody needs to get involved and jump in and extinguish the fire. I mean, just put this thing to bed.
Well, I mean, I think somebody's going to eventually. It probably won't be put to bed right now. Right now, you're going to have the emotion and stuff working with it now. But I think that eventually, the problem is if you wait too long to do it before somebody puts it to bed, then that means it's escalated even further than what it did the first time.
Mm-hmm. Somebody needs to say,
if you want to turn yourselves into a greasy spot on a country road somewhere, go right ahead. I don't give a shit. I don't think anybody else does, regardless what they say to your face.
Mm-hmm.
But you two monkeys are not going to do it on my racetrack.
Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody needs to.
The epic line.
Yeah, somebody needs to talk to those two monkeys.
Can you imagine being on the wall when they took Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine in that one room?
Oh, man. Golly. How cool would that be? Man, that would have been so cool to yeah. And that's one of those moments, and it just goes back to, and I mean, I'm sure the stuff still happens, but back in those days, I mean, we only hear about it well after the fact. I mean, when was that? When that movie come out? 92 or 1 or 3 or 4?
90, I think. 1990.
And that incident was probably back in the early 80s. So man, that it's crazy stuff.
It is. And I'm gonna look up and see when did Days of Thunder come out.
Yeah.
Let's see here. When did?
I don't know, but I would have loved to hear that. I mean, to sit there and see what may have gone down right there. I mean, all that. But that's when, I mean, you could enforce stuff differently back then. I mean, because you could hammer, that way. You could do it that way, where I think nowadays you probably, it's more, there's probably a process to do that. To do that.
Just so you know, so it came out June 27th, 1990. If it makes you feel even older, May 16th of 1986 is when Top Gun came out.
Oh man, that's wow, long time ago.
Yeah,
long time ago. Makes an old man feel older. Jeez Louise.
I mean, I didn't really try to do that on purpose, but I mean, it just happened.
Well, don't look up Stroke of Race, because I know when that came out, you'll make me feel, and certainly don't look up Six Pack.
Because Six Pack came out that came out in the early 80s, right?
Way early did that one come out. That good long time ago. But yikes. All right, let's go to the hotline. Cavalcade of guests that we're going to talk to this evening, and we got one of our show favorites on here, and I just love when this dude gets out there and does really cool stuff. I always try to get a hold of him. I'm like, dude, come break it down for us, please. We want to hear about it. On the Revved Up Sports Show hotline, it's our man, Jared Fryer. Jared, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Absolutely doing well, man. Doing extremely well. So, you guys, man, you're rolling. Let's talk about the Cars Tour first. It looks like you guys, I mean, there's been a couple of times where I follow along and maybe you're not quite right, maybe in practice, but dude, qualifying and the race comes up and you guys are spot on.
Yeah. That's one thing, kind of beat my head against the wall is the qualifying situation in Cars Tour and practice. Practice, I don't necessarily get too worried because we don't ever put tires on like we probably should and like some of the other people do. But I know we have a well-balanced race car, and then qualifying, just I don't know if it's me, car, or what. I just can't seem to get that front row starting position in the qualifying. It seems hard. I mean, we were able to do it last year a couple times, and had a handful of good qualifying starts last year, but this year just seems to be a little bit tough for everybody to kind of pick their game up. And so that's the only thing that's been frustrating me and the downfall of my program. racing, but the racing's been really good. It's just starting. We've had really good race cars, and it's been fast at the end of the race, and been able to pass a lot of cars. So I know it makes it fun for me and interesting, but I feel like we could maybe have a couple more wins if we started closer to the front. But who knows? Could have been worse.
Absolutely.
So talk about the difference between running the Cars Tour race versus the race that you just ran this past weekend and won. Do you change the mentality that you're at? Is it a race length kind of thing that changes the mentality if you got to change it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I feel like I've been pushed to such a high standard racing with the Cars Tour and have high expectations from everybody, the race car, everything. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a high level racing, and high level competition. You know what I mean? So it drives you to be better than you think. You know what I mean? So I feel like with that mentality and everything, it carries over into some of these local racing and stuff, and it really shows up of what we can do. It just, and that's kind of what I tell people. I was like, they don't really understand running in the top 3 with Car Store, what it means. Like any given race, you look, and in the top 10, there's somebody that's won some kind of track championship, multiple races, or what it is. They've done something big before. You know what I mean? And people don't really realize that and respect that. It's tough, but but as far as racing there, it don't really. You know what I mean? Like I said, we've learned so much racing with the Cars Tour and being at that track. It kind of reminds me of Kyle racing out there in Texas. It's a very unique, and it's kind of its own track. And I feel like once you get a grip there, kind of like we have, it's stuck. So it's been fun, and we've had a lot of success there. So it's been great.
Yeah. So Jared, is it a little bit of kind of a load off your shoulders to get away from the tour and get to go do a local race? Just kind of do something that, I mean, I'm sure the tour feels normal to you, but to just go out and have a regular race.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does, because kind of like I was telling my wife, we run the tour and run the Triple Crown races in Martinsville and all these big events. Last year we only won one race out of 10 in the Cars Tour, and there's only one repeat winner. But like I said, it just shows how tough it is, and it's not like people's going out there and winning multiple races. And like I said, you only get 10 or 12 opportunities to win, and there's a lot that goes into winning. So it feels good to go out and get some wins, and it kind of builds momentum for everybody, from the owner to the people that help on the car, me, the whole team. So it is really good. So, and it's paid off well too.
So talk about the race on Saturday. Obviously, every headline that we've read and seen about it was just total domination. Did it feel that way from inside? I mean, how did that race unfold for you? Was it as dominant as from your seat as what everybody says it was?
Not, I don't. It's hard to say. I don't. I mean, we did sit on the pole and lead every lap and win the race, and we had a very good car that's capable of doing that. But I mean, I felt like there was a couple other cars that would have been there, but some things happened there. Got spun out, one of them broke. So with that being said, it did make it seem like that, I guess. But you never know what you really got till you get into the race and still about them last 25 laps. When it is go time. So, but I knew we had. I felt like we had a comfortable car could win. So, just a matter of doing all the right things and being in the right position.
So Jared, what does that do for you now moving forward? I mean, you get back to the Cars Tour this week to go out and dominate a race like that. What does that do for you now with the rest of the touring season?
It definitely gives us momentum, man. I mean, I feel like we can win car store races, and we've done it. So it is good to go run them local races too, because we kind of try some stuff that we probably wouldn't do at a car store race. Some riskier things, and we get to learn whether it's good or bad, and then apply it to those car store races and build a better notebook. So the biggest thing, I feel like, it just gives us momentum. You know what I mean? And we can take away a lot of notes from an event like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be a good momentum builder. So your plans for the rest of the year, Jared? Obviously, you're going to finish off there. Want to get another title But the rest of the year from that, has anything changed from what we've talked about in the past?
No, not
Okay.
really. Just trying to go out there and win races with the Cars Tour, and then we're gonna run the Triple Crown races, which consist of South Boston and Langley, and then Martinsville. So looking forward to that. I mean, those are 3 big races right there, and a lot of money on the line too. So and I feel like we have a great opportunity to get a win at least one of them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, super good showing, man. Went back and watched it, and again, one of those is always really good for momentum, dude. Keep doing it, dude, and thanks for checking in and taking us through it. We're super proud of what you did this weekend.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me on.
Anytime, my man. Anytime. Take care.
See you.
You bet. There he is, Jared Fryer. Man, and I love that what we have up on the thing right there. Fryer.
It's good.
That's
right?
badass.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good, especially when you've got the legacy of the Fryer legacy that's there. So looks like we might be working through a couple of audio issues, but we'll make it happen here just a little bit. Thanks for everybody that's been reaching out on the Facebook feed to give us with the issues with the audio. But,
yeah, can't quite figure out what that is there, so we'll keep tweaking on that just a little bit. So we'll keep working, but yeah, great win there for Jared Fryer as he wins. Just a dominating performance, and for them, I mean, I really think that's good for the momentum. I mean, for them to be able to get out there and take care of business like that, I think it's going to a lot of benefits in that.
Well, I think we saw it even back in the day. Remember when the guys from TIDA would sit there and they'd come run a local show? Like, I think other than the fact like David Umscheid was damn good anywhere that you went, but I think in terms of when David Umscheid would come and run, the 2-alarm chili car, that car was a great piece, but he would come in and he would just be methodical, not methodical. What's the word I'm looking for? With the he just came in with that mind was coming in and starting in the back and just being able to pick through the field, pretty easy with all that experience. And I think it's the same way that Jared kind of thought about the way that this whole deal with the Cars Tour was coming. It's always been such a crazy, the tour itself is so crazy stressful, like he talked about, and having everybody be able to come in and do the Turing 12 and all of that with the competitors, the local track champions that are coming to race with him and stuff like that. But it's I think that it's good. Like you said, I think it's a good thing that he got away from the touring series and went, sat on a pole, led every lap, and sat around, and basically took him to the woodshed.
That's always good. I mean, that's always a really good thing when you see that happening. And super excited for him. And of course, we'll continue to follow him and try to get him back on. And that's a good thing. I mean, Jared's one of those guys. I mean, like we see Josh Berry and all of these folks. I think it's really good when you have these guys doing extremely well.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it makes it for a much better show, and it's getting a lot of notoriety when it comes into when the guys come in from the tour and show up at the local short track and do well. I think it bodes well for the tour, and thinks it comes through and makes it better for everybody, the local track and the touring series.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely is a good thing. So we also got to give some love. We got to give some love. Our man Grant Thompson, who has been on this show before, he had a really good run. His first late model race, he jumps in one of those super late models on the Tundra series, and he comes home second, and that's really, really damn good.
Yeah, no, that's really exceptionally good for Grant. He's a wheel man, despite the fact that he definitely is a wheel man and knows how to wheel these cars. I think it was a really good thing. He's in great equipment with the Casey Johnson racing stuff. We've talked to Casey on the show and know what kind of good stuff that he has. But I think that it comes through, and Grant just came through and did an exceptional job. Saw one little donut on the side of the car, but hell, that ain't really anything. That just means he was running closer to somebody than he needed to. But Grant did an exceptional job running in that Tundra series, and look for more of that stuff to come. It's not going to be long before we see him in a super late model. Let him run a couple of years in a super late model. I bet we see him in an ARCA car by the time he turns 18.
And that's one of those teams where actually I talked to his dad, and they're working on financing. I mean, this sport is so much about money, and they're trying to get financing put together so they can run more races. I mean, I think that's the first race that he's run all year. So they're definitely trying to work to make that happen. And that's a young kid. That's a good dude. And man, if we can get the right financing under him, I think he's definitely a star of tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think he's going to be one of the next. What is it? The NASCAR Next program that they used to have. I don't know if they still have that one or not, but he definitely going to be one to look out. Just remember, Just remember when you see it, just remember he started here, Grant Thompson.
Absolutely. So hopefully he gets more opportunities, and that's the main thing. So let's hope for the best right there. I mean, and for all the young guys, and that's what's so cool that you get Logan and you get all of these guys that they work their asses off, and their families do as well, and they finally get that opportunity. They finally get that opportunity. So it's a good thing, and that's where hard work is paying off right there for them, and the good. Like with Grant Thompson, I mean, he goes out and he has an opportunity and he makes the most of it. Makes the most of it, and it's definitely paying off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best thing, right? We talk about moving the meter. You got to move the meter every time you get into a race car, or find a way to get into a race car. But that's the way that you have to do it. I mean, obviously he's a young dude. He knows how to work social media. He knows how to do a lot of stuff with social media, and I think it's great. Like you got to come through and take advantage of the opportunities. He did really well when he was in the Augie Grill stuff, when he was in the GARC house car, the GARC house car, in the 112. So he's taking advantage of every opportunity he's got. When he was running the Brit trucks back there at Pensacola, went through and had a great run over there and did lots of cool stuff. And it was just one of those where it's like he's done good in every opportunity he's had, and that's what he's going to need to continue to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely going to be the key, because especially when those opportunities are few and far between, and you have to know that that's extremely hard for him, because it's when you're not doing it all the time. I mean, when you're not doing it all the time, and there's not something that's consistent, it gets extremely hard, and that's where for a lot of young racers, and we see guys that are getting opportunities, ladies as well, where they get the chance to do something in one of the major leagues, and there's not a lot of prep time. I mean, you have that weekend. I mean, you show up, you got to get in there. If you're not familiar with the racetrack, you got to figure the track out. You got to figure out the equipment, and that's where, I mean, we've seen so many on the dirt and on the asphalt, both, where you get thrust into this spot, and it's like, boom, you have to get out and you have to try, and good for him. I mean, good for him, and it's a challenge. I mean, because it's definitely few and far between.
Yeah, definitely. It's just one of those where you got to figure out and make the most happen. So, that's good. That's good. It's good to see Grant make that work in terms of having it to a good run. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see from your driver. That's what you want to see, from your favorite guy. That whether it doesn't matter if it's Grant or Casey, whoever it may be. We want to make sure that everybody ends up having the best run that they can.
Absolutely. That's really what you hope for these guys. I mean, because it has to be done, and it has to be done really, really quick. So we'll continue to follow him. Hopefully Grant gets that figured out. And great point right there. You do. I mean, that's where you really have to rely on that simulation, because we talk about sim racing and so forth, and getting in that simulator. That's where it does pay off these days, to where you actually that really is what's going to be your manner of getting that time in, because you can't be on the track. You can't get to the track. You have to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. Grant's a young dude, so he does a lot of iRacing. When he gets a chance to do it, I think that's just the way that everybody's been doing it now, right? We talked to different racers. Hey, are you an iRacer? I think it depends on the generation that they're in. If they're the younger generation, they try to do they try to do that more than the younger guys. So I mean, I think that's especially nowadays, it's one of the only ways that you get a chance to be on the racetrack now, especially with no practice and qualifying, at least at a cup level anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely is something that has to happen. So we're waiting on JJ Day. We're going to talk to him here in just a little bit, and of course we're still trying to figure out. For the life of us, can't figure out what the volume thing is. That may be a Facebook thing, because I mean it sounds good in our monitor. So anyway, we'll keep messing with that, and that's one of those third-party things there where hopefully it's going to be something that we can get figured out here at some point. And again, you can always go to RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Go to the RevvedUpSportsShow.com page. There's an audio link. Actually, right up at the top, you can watch the YouTube feed. That's right there. You can also go right to the middle of the page, and that's where the audio feed is. You can catch it there as well. So there's a couple of different spots. I don't know if they can hear us or not on Facebook. So hopefully they can go right there, and you can catch the other versions of it that are not on Facebook.
Yeah, no, it looks like it may be an output issue with the third-party streamer, because the YouTube stuff isn't running right either. So I just checked out.
Yeah, I don't know. Have no idea. Absolutely have no idea. So we'll keep hammering at it here on the backside to try to figure out what may be going on right there, because we obviously have no clue. Looks like, honestly, right now the only thing that is up and running is the feed over on the YouTube side. So we'll keep at it. We will keep working at it and see what we can do with that, and hopefully get you rolling here at some point to where you can actually hear everything that is happening right here on the Revved Sports Show. I tell you, never fails, man. 2 weeks in a row for audio issues. Well, no, I don't think we had audio issues.
Camera issues.
Texas, where we're trying to get all of that put together to where we're actually going to try to figure out who the driver of the year would be, and it's going to be heavily based on stats. It's not going to be, something where, and again, popularity contests are great, but what this is really intended to do is to be something to where, it's going to be based on performance, and I think that's a really good way to do this.
I think it is. I mean, obviously, these who's the best and all of that. We've seen that with some of the short track draft that our friends over at Speed 51 have been trying to do, and that some of that became a popularity vote. But it's I don't know, dude. Like it's good. I want to see the dynamics of it, right? Let's show me the numbers. Let me see something that I haven't, as you say in the intro. Show me something I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Show me the analytics. Show me how you're getting to get where you want to be with that deal. So I don't know, dude. Like I'd be interested to see what Phil has to say about it. I know he's been crunching numbers and stuff like that. He's a numbers guy, so he'll definitely try to fill us in on all that. Yeah,
that's really what it's going to be all about. Again, if I don't know if you can hear it or not, but go to RevvedUpSportsShow.com, catch the audio version of this, because I think at the moment that's really the only thing that is working up to par, and we're continuing to hammer here on the backside. Trying to hammer here on the backside and see if we can get some of that resolved. I, for the life of me, cannot figure out what it is. But there's lots of moving parts and pieces here on the backside, so we'll continue working with all of that. And you can catch it, the audio version, at RevvedUpSportsShow.com, right in the middle of the page. I know that one is working tried and true, as it always does. Never fails, man. It's like when all of the cool stuff is not working, you go back to just regular audio, spot on every time.
Every time, yeah. No, I don't know if a lot of people are actually listening on the Facebook feed now, but it does work on the audio feed. I've got it pulled up here in the studio, and it's showing to be working hot and heavy.
Yeah.
So we'll end up trying to just soldier on the best we can. It looks like there was some storms and stuff coming up this afternoon, and you did say there was some electrical issues in the neighborhood around the studio.
Yeah, so. Yeah, we're trying to move around and trying to move from different Wi-Fi spots. So trying to make all of that happen. So we'll keep. I think we may have gotten the YouTube thing figured out. So hopefully that's back alive and well. Sound, I don't know. So we'll just keep plugging away, and we'll keep rolling through all of this. Still waiting for JJ Day. JJ Day may have been listening and lost us. So maybe that's why we haven't heard from him yet. So anyway, we'll keep working on this side. I know we'll hear from Phil Whipple coming up in just a little bit, as all of that will continue. Talked to USMTS, talked about all of the racing that we saw, talked about, actually now Kennedale with another show that they got their show in. So that's really good. But the question moving forward for this week is really going to come down to weather, because I know we've got tracks set up. 37 got stung again, so hopefully that's not something that's going to impact tracks around here. And the COTA question is going to be something that we'll have to figure out as well. But, I mean, I think the difference with that, Bobby, is with COTA, hell, I mean, if it comes down to it, you throw the rain tires on. You're going to go rain racing. How about a debut for NASCAR at COTA with maybe one or all three series running in the rain?
I want to see the trucks on the rain tires. That'd be pretty good. That'd be a pretty good show, running the trucks on the rain tires. So that's we'll see how everything shakes out with them, and kind of just go from there. Really, like you said, there's not a lot that they won't get a chance to do as we come through and try to see. I want to see the best race possible. It doesn't matter to me whether it's on rain tires or if it's on slick tires. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just want to see the best race possible.
I had a great conversation today with Austin Wayne Self, and I was asking him, I said, so are you guys prepared for this? Because obviously the cool thing is they will get some practice time. But, I mean, there's so much of an unknown right there for them right now, because especially with the trucks. And we said it on Saturday. I mean, the trucks, that could very well be the best race of the week. weekend because I mean those guys are going to be leaning on each other, and those trucks they don't. I mean they're not built to turn right. They're not built. These elevation changes and all this stuff that we're about to embark on. The trucks are just going to be fantastic. I wish they ran after the Cup Series.
Maybe. I mean, I think it could be. I think it could be a really good show. It just depends on. You never know. It could. The way they forecast weather around here, you never know what they're going to do. Like it could end up raining on Saturday and washing both of them out. And we have a triple header.
It is supposed to be nice. It is supposed to be nice for Saturday and Sunday. It's during the week when all the stuff is really supposed to be bad. So the good thing about COTA is, I mean, that the way that place is built with the elevation, that track does tend to drain a lot better than most of the racetracks that we see. So hopefully that doesn't factor in. What concerns me, because we've been to that track for F1 when the conditions are bad, and that, man, when it's a mud fest for the fans, that's tough. That's really tough.
Well, I think it's not going to bode well for the racetrack. I mean, we saw it took years for Texas Motor Speedway to get over that stigma of having that bad inflow and outflow of the racetrack. But I mean, I really do think that COTA's in a much better spot than they were back when that happened before.
Yeah, I think everything's going to be okay. I mean, I really do think everything's going to be okay. So get out there and support that. Over at Devil's Bowl, do want to talk about so Marcus Thomas won the IMCA Race Fever Sprints. He also won the Boss Sprint Series at Waco on Friday night. So he wins back to back there. Our man John Ricketts that we talked to here on the show last week, he had a rough Friday night. I mean, they bent the frame up a little bit on that car. They were able to work, I think, all night and all morning to get over to Devil's Bowl, and he wound up fourth in that race and maintained some point leads and stuff that he had right there. But again, it's really cool because with the sprint cars, it's really cool to see the name Blake Mallory keep popping up. It's like, man, there you go right there. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Old school late model racing news there with him popping up. And it's cool. It's cool to see these guys. They come full circle. I mean, he was a dirt racer before he started running those super late models, and then, probably went off, started a family, come back. Now you get to see some of the, some of these new cats, not the new cats, some of these older established veterans start running with some of these new cats in these different series. So
yeah, really good stuff right there. And the sprint cars, we were talking about that on Friday night, and it's so funny with sprint cars because it really is like with super late models on the pavement side. All you have to do is say late model, and the asphalt fans get excited. With the sprint cars, all you have to say is sprint cars. They get fired up and they show up, and it was a packed house in Waco. And I mean, there were a lot of people that I talked to. They were there for sprint cars. I mean, that's what they wanted to see. And so when they, I mean, it just brings the masses, and I think that is fantastic right there, where it just proves the popularity there of both of those type of cars, whether it be dirt or asphalt, where simply a term. I mean, even I think where with asphalt you can say pro late model, and I think right now if we said pro late model in Houston, I think people would go crazy.
Not as crazy as we would have considered super late.
Well, yeah.
Or a double header. That would be really, that'd get a lot of people moved too. But I think I'm gonna cut it out and put it in the back of the studio and say move the meter. That's what we've got. That's the number one thing we talk about with racing. At least I do. Is you gotta have something that moves the meter. The sprint cars on dirt tracks, that moves the meter. That gets more people to come in. You charge a little bit more emission when they come in. Nobody cares, right? Because it's a sprint car show and everybody thinks they're gonna get the best possible. And it doesn't matter what kind of sprint car. It doesn't matter if it's the Boss, the Bandits. Doesn't matter if it's the non-elite or the non-wing elite series. A sprint car is a sprint car with the dirt fans. It's the same thing with the super late models and late models in general. It doesn't matter if it's a late model stock. It doesn't matter if it's a pro late model. It doesn't matter if it's a super late model. When you say late model, it moves the meter, and a lot of people really enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you see it with the crowds. I mean, you see it with the crowds when they show up. It's usually one of those deals. But the nice thing is, I mean, even when the dirt late models, I mean, you do see so many people that show up for that. I mean, just to see that show, and it's really smart because I mean, I know like with the Boss Sprint Series, I mean, they do the 4 wide and all of that, and I mean, they really take it they take it to the max. I mean, they take it to the max, and that's really good. I mean, that's what you have to do to really bring in the crowd and provide that excitement and provide that entertainment value. And that's really what those people want to see. I mean, they want to see a show. And you can, with sprint cars, I mean, they get out there and the race can be strung out, but still those people are on their feet. They just love it. They just love it.
What is the saying? Imitation is the best form of flattery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the sprint cars come out, there's a reason you see them 3 wide and 4 wide, just like the World of Outlaws, because that's what people come to expect to see when they have different kind of series running with the sprint cars. You want to see the 4 wide of the World of Outlaws. You know, and it's funny. Johnny always says often duplicated. What does he say? Often duplicated, never replicated. Is that what he says? Well, they definitely are often duplicated a lot over there when you see sprint cars on a racetrack when they go 3 and 4 wide.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it doesn't really matter. The nice thing about it, I mean, World of Outlaws does it. It looks great, but I mean, it's really good. And it's one of those moments where, and I love all the sprint car series say, here's our fantastic, 4 wide salute or whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't matter the series to see them coming across 4 wide. I mean, it's just good. It's just good, and people get hyped up. It's one of the things that people most look forward to with sprint car. It's like, I come for the 4 wide salute. I mean, that's awesome.
Then nothing is going to replicate completely the World of Outlaws 4 wide salute with the fireworks and everything else that they do with that opening ceremony. But
absolutely. I mean, it's World of Outlaws sets the benchmark because that's really what it's all about. And that's great. So here's kind of what we're thinking. Just kind of working behind the scenes. We kind of reached out to everyone right here, and for the life of us, we cannot figure out why levels are not good on video. It's totally fine on audio, but we know that everybody wants the video and all of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to get Phil. We're going to try to schedule him later in the week. We'll get another show put together for this. We'll get Phil back in. Okay, well, Phil's good. Yeah, I mean, I say let's just bring Phil in. We can get Phil in right now. Got JJ figured out, so I definitely want everyone to hear JJ. So Phil, give us a shout, man. Let's give this a roll and let's get at it. Let's talk about racetrack Texas Racer of the Year. Again, we apologize for the hiccups. I don't know what in the hell is going on. At some point, ask me about it, and I'll tell you what I'm really thinking at this moment, 7:20, as we work on a Monday night here with the Revved Up Sports Show. But we did get to talk to Jerry Fryer. That is the good thing about that. It's a good thing about that.
Now, whether or not anybody heard him, that's something totally different.
I think they probably heard him. We'll get this podcast. We'll get the audio stuff podcasted up and get all of that set for you. Let's go to the hotline, and let's talk to the man. It is Mr. Phil Whipple. Phil, thanks for putting up with the headaches, my man.
Oh, you are more than welcome, my friend. You guys got it squared away. Like you said, brother, the main RevvedUpSportsShow.com, the audio feed here is super clear and fine. And you're right, it's on the other end with that stuff with the social media stuff. So the heck with that. I was kind of geared up to do this now, and the rest of the week looks like there's a lot on the plate. So if we could, let's go ahead with it, brother.
Absolutely, because we can podcast this out and get the point across. So first and foremost, how you doing, man? We haven't talked to you in a couple months.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. I have to tell you, boys, both of you, Bobby, good evening to you, man. Both of you tonight, that how much enjoyment I'm having this year with this race on Texas gig. I can't even believe, as I said here, prior to Memorial Day weekend here in the North Country, I've already written 16, 17 driver features down in your area, boys. And I'm so glad that Chris David has asked me now to provide some professional. So many great live shows that they're doing with Speed Pass because I'm just getting so much out of it. And I hope that the racers that we're given mention to in these things are appreciating that as well because there's so many. You guys just touched on it a few minutes ago. There's so many good racers spread across that whole state as the topic we're going to get to tonight. You know, we're looking at this DOTY stuff. There's just so much great racing. And I feel very strongly that these recaps help showcase that talent. And you see me going on all the 3 major divisions I focus on each time. I'll take the time to write. And finishing 6 through 10 because I think a guy that gets the top 10 ought to get mentioned in the recap too, you know. So I'm just loving it, guys. I don't mean to digress, but I'm so much enjoying my role and what I'm doing in that short track scene down there this year.
Absolutely.
So Phil, as you get into 2021, how is the difference? Can you notice the difference between Texas racing and up there where you guys are at? Up in the Great White North, as I occasionally try to tease you about with all the snow you guys get. Is it racing, or can you tell the difference in the racing between up north and down south?
Boy, is this going to be difficult to admit publicly, but okay to tell you, Bobby. I'm glad that you just asked me that, bud, because this past weekend was the first time, okay, in my 30-year career that I watched 2 live stream shows of ours on Friday and Saturday. When I say ours, I mean race on Texas, because I'm part of that family. For our stuff, I covered hot again Friday. I covered Cotton Bowl Saturday, right? And then I shift back into my New England mode to watch asphalt racing, the pass and off, and the mods and stuff, because I got clients in there. Of course, I'm tied to this New England stuff. And I watched Lee USA, and I'm just about nodding off to sleep. I'm like, Christ, these races along. I'm so used to now race after race after race, lots of races and little short races and stuff. I'm into this dirt mentality where it's exciting from the time the first green flag plus until the Rodney says, and thank you so much for coming on behalf of Selby Holder and the entire staff. And hope you come back to Elmont next week. From start to finish, you guys, I'm hooked on it now. And to me, it's awful to say this. 40 is going to kick my ass when he hears me say this on the radio. Pavement racing is pretty near boring to me now. And so, there's a little difference in it, Mr. Chaffee, to answer your question. It's just so much more fast-paced and lively through the course of the program. And now I'm looking at the length of these pavement races. I'm thinking, geez, we race long races, don't we?
Yeah. That's part of the thing right there, where it's like, with the pavement guys, it's like, it's a whole day there, and then a lot of people complain, and then I see a race coming up, and they're like, hey, we don't get to practice on Friday. I'm like, guys, you don't want to be there all day. Pick one. Pick one. Right?
Yeah,
Am I right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you are right. You are right. That is always the case, too.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, I hope that answers the question. But you guys, you always ask me about the resurgence that you boys are seeing down there. It sure looks to me, with the different faces in Victory Lane and the car counts that you guys, again, that you nicely touched on earlier in tonight's program, it sure looks to me, I mean, the rain has been an awful factor. Imagine if we hadn't had all these rainouts down here this year. But really, we've still got some pretty good momentum going down there, despite Mother Nature's lack of cooperation.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this Driver of the Year thing. I know you've been working really hard on it. It's becoming a pet project for you. With all the different writing that you're doing and covering all the factory stock drivers that you got. So talk to us about where you guys are at with the Driver of the Year.
I will. I've been chewing up a list of names. I really think this is great timing, guys, to discuss this, because there's guys that'll run probably 48 races or so throughout the course of this season, and them guys have run a dozen already. So we're at the first quarter time. It's time for first quarter evals, if you will, first quarter evaluations. And so I've been kicking around a lot of names, and we will get into the mathematics and some of that other formula stuff, Bobby, that you alluded to earlier, and what's going to factor into some of that. But for just bottom line stuff, these guys ought to be mentioned because they're having great seasons. Over on the weekly side, you got that rascal from Cutting Shoot, Texas, that Dalton Foxen. I had a guy tell me today, he said, Whipple, why don't you just put your name on that weekly series Driver of the Year thing, inaugural one, and it's going to go on a wall somewhere in Cutting Shoot, Texas anyway. That's old Simsy telling me that, and he's probably close to being right on the money. But Dalton's having another fabulous year. Ryan Hopkins, how about that Hopkins guy, Rodney? Huh? He's on kind of a hot streak.
Man, that dude, and I'll tell you what, he is just so smooth. I mean, he is just really, really good. And, man, he's on a 3-race roll right there.
Yeah, he is. That's why he's on my short list already in the first quarter evals. Ryan's having a heck of a 2021. And then there's old Tommy Temple's kid, Triton. That boy, I wrote about him when I first started this stuff in 2019. Triton Temple is obviously still the real deal and beginning to reel off some wins and podiums. He's probably going to be on the short list, I suspect, as the season progresses. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, that old rascal like me with gray on his beard and gray on his chin, Don Painter, isn't having too bad of a start to the year either, boys.
Yeah, he's been really good, and I like what you say right there, Phil, because I think kind of the whole synopsis of this between yourself and us and Race On and however this is going to be, it doesn't matter whether it's a modified, it doesn't matter if it's a factory stock. I mean, if you get a sport compact or whatever series that you get somebody that is just performing, we're looking for 100% performance with this thing.
That's exactly right. As you see, I'm bouncing all around. I began to take a little criticism late last year and early this year for being a factory stock They said, Whipple, enough drumming. You beat that factory stock drum long enough. Are you still aware that there's friggin' sport mod and modified races still in Texas? Oh, and by the way, there's a shitload of them, and they're quite talented.
Yeah.
So as you notice that as I've reached into North Texas this year, I've gone back to the sport mod guys and tried to show them some love, and I'm looking at what those guys are doing, as well as the factory stock and the tuners and the ice stock. I see the Joe Spillman probably be happy to hear me say this. I'm now kind of hooked on ice stock as well, and there's a lot of talent spread across the board there, guys. So you're right, Rodney. You hit it right on the head. We're not just looking at that big popular factory stock thing, or just modified, or just split mods. We're looking across the board at the numbers and at the podium finishes and at the top fives. You're right. You hit it earlier. That's what we have to look at here until we come toward the fall, and we come down with what we call a Sweet 16. Then we begin to enter in with that other criteria and the media skills. And that's what, and I'd like to ask you gentlemen tonight about your input on this. That, to me, is the ideal way to integrate fan input, because these people are fans that are following all this now. They're beginning to read a lot of stories on these individuals, and they begin to see quite a few live interviews with them, the guys that are on this short list. And so the fans, I think, are getting to a point where they could give some real legit input on driver's media skills, how he is with interviews and such, the written word and the front video interview. And so I'd like to maybe, once we come up with a Sweet 16 on the weekly and the touring series, elicit input from the fans on how they think these boys do with media skills. And I hope you boys are on the same page with me with that.
Hey, maybe we ought to interview them all.
Maybe.
Hey, we should talk to them all when we get a Sweet 16, because we'll have a lot of guys that put up good numbers. They, if some of them haven't been on the show, talk to a few of them. You know, I'm going to write little short synopsis overviews of their seasons, so that for ourselves as we begin to evaluate this. And there's just so much to it. Those power rankings, I got to tell you, have me really intrigued that we're doing. And Farmer Brungut, one of my New Hampshire boys, Farmer Brungut is right on the money with his power rankings, because we've got such a vast depth of factory stock guys. And it's not right to just do straight up apples to apples with them, because you got to look at the depth of the field that they run against, the level of competition they run against, as well as the pure numbers they're putting up. So when that shit comes out 1st of June, I suspect a lot of eyes are going to be on that. Don't you think, Bobby?
I think so. I mean, anytime you get Brungot involved, he loves the analytics of numbers. More so than a lot of people I know in racing. He will sit there and will overanalyze numbers too. He loves the analytics, and he will go in and overanalyze all the numbers. But I guess it's something like this, with as many factors as you got involved with, as many drivers are going to be involved in this. That definitely is one of those where you need to have the analytics, and you need to have the over-analytics too.
Well, you do. You referred to me almost as the computer who wore tennis shoes. If you guys are old enough to remember that movie from way back in the day. You referred to me as the computer who wore tennis shoes and the numbers guy. I'm actually not. I evaluate a little more at the human side of it, and I do look at the numbers and such too. But yeah, Aaron's background in marketing, his number crunching ability, if anybody I know who can come up with the right formula, way to kind of crunch numbers and come up with criteria to evaluate all those guys in that vast depth of that class, he's the one that can do it. And when he comes out with the power rankings and we begin to elicit fan input on that stuff, and let me remind all our listeners tonight and in the future podcast, this is not a popularity contest. So don't just do it because the guy's handsome, or he's got a nice family, or you like the looks of his car, or he drives the same brand of pickup you do. That stuff's all irrelevant, my friends. So when we ask you for input, it's really who you think is boss on the racetrack between the green flag and the checkered flag. So I just think it's all going to come together good. It sounds complex, I know, Bobby and Rodney, but really it comes down to numbers, media skills, and some fan input. I think when we get down to it in the fall, I hope bottom line is the guys that get the plaques, the touring series and the weekly guys, that when they put it up on the wall, it has huge meaning. Because really, to me, it should have, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And Phil, I think one of the things also that I was thinking about this, and I hadn't actually said this to you. I was thinking about it actually this morning. This is a situation also, again, I know that the asphalt is limited here, but if we have a Texas pavement guy, that does well in Houston, maybe goes off to Mobile, just doing Five Flags, or kind of making the run right there. I mean, I think we factor that in as well. I mean, because it is a Texas driver, and I mean, I think that's a appropriate candidate as well that should factor in there.
It is. Isn't John Heil from Floresville or something? He's a Texas native, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, Heil. If we don't sit down, and if the name John Heil doesn't come up 3 or 4 times throughout the course of the season as we're doing these various evaluations, and then certainly towards the fall when we're kicking around touring series. And I got a few other names, if you would, boys, I'd like to kind of kick out there.
Sure.
But if we don't talk, thank you. If we don't talk about John Hiles, that man realistically can climb it about anything and any track and dial it in and get it adapted and be right among the front runners. The longer I follow him, the more respect I'm gaining for Mr. John Hiles. I also think over on the touring side, the little list of names, guys, I really catching my attention this year is Chase Allen, for example, is having a heck of a start with late model. Brandon Spreen, I assume that's Greg Spreen kid, the engine builder's kid. Brandon Spreen's really getting on the gas in the dirt cars, having a great start. And I just had a fella brought to me, you guys are touching on sprint cars, and by the way, old fat Whipple Longley is more interested in dirt track races now than pavement. Now I'm turning into a sprint car fan, for Christ's sake.
Me too, man. Me too.
Oh, it's horrible. I've seen so much of it on our live streams, the Boss, the Southern United, they're all good. And so McCordy woke me up, slapped me, and said, "Whipple, start paying attention to this Shannon Tankersley." And holy shit, is he a Dallas racer?
No doubt.
Yeah. Tankersley's on it, and Caden Honeycutt on the touring series guy. We've got to be looking at all the great things Caden is doing in a variety of different cars and divisions. John Rickett, I think you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, and the pride of Happy Texas, Mr. Rodney Sanders.
Yeah, Rodney.
Old Rapid Rodney from the Happy Texas is really rocking in the USCCS thing again. And so, really, what a wonderful depth of hot guns that we're going to have to evaluate as the season unfolds. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So Phil, what goes in, or you may have to ask Brungot this question. What goes into? Is it an overall number of starts? Is it a percentage of starts for somebody, or can a guy that only starts 10 races at H&P and wins 8 have a chance to go against somebody that runs 35, 40 races on the dirt side and wins 20 of them?
No, I don't think so, unless in that small field he runs against all the time. Yeah. Dalton Fox and Justin Whitehead have to field all the time. You know what I'm saying? The fact is, I think, Bobby, are going to be not only the numbers the man faces each week, but the quality of those numbers as well. So I think if a guy is a big fish in a little pond, sure, he may be able to win 8 out of 10. But if he's up against the big guns all the time, he's probably going to have a lot of time putting up those kind of numbers. So I think the level of competition that you face, as well as the number of races, it will be hard, I guess, even if a guy won 8 out of 10, if the next guy that you're looking at wins 16 out of 24 or something, boy, it's going to be tough. It's going to be numbers based, but for sure, Bobby, you act like it's complex and it'll take a lot of work, and it will. I agree with you, it will. But yeah. I think in the end, it will be worth it, sir.
So Phil, how do obviously, folks that may want to nominate someone, and again, this is performance based, and I mean, this is not anything for guys. I mean, I've been at points in my racing career where I wasn't performing, and I totally get it. So how do folks, I mean, if they want to nominate someone, they want to throw a name out there, or they're seeing someone that's maybe floating under the radar, maybe one of these stock car guys or a sport compact or something that should be considered, how do they let you, me, all of us know, how do they let us know, hey, don't forget old John Deere Green over here, he's pretty good?
I think we need a little small template for the Revved Up Sports Facebook show and just spitballing here, the Revved Up Sports Facebook show and the Race on Texas Facebook show, and Chris David's deal, just a small template where people can do that. And I personally would like to hear from fans in the state of Texas, across the entire state, and on 2 things. You're giving me a chance to do something here that I probably should have asked for in my previous years of doing this anyway. I would be happy if any of our listeners and fans who follow this closely like I do throughout Texas and Louisiana, they can contact me personally at philw61@yahoo.com and talk to me about drivers they're watching and guys they're impressed with and that stuff. I would like to hear from them on that. And by the way, how I'm doing with this driver feature thing. And I'm not going to dwell on that and waste you guys' time on that, but I want to hear from you listeners and fans down there if I'm doing my job with these various driver features and bouncing around on that. If I don't, if I'm missing some key drivers, bring them to my attention, folks, and I'll gladly schedule an interview with those individuals and be happy to write a spotlight feature on them. And so, but yeah, I'm happy to hear from people personally. If they want somebody to bring to my attention, I'm more than happy to correspond with them, and it would be a pleasure. And if you would, Rodney, down the road, set up a little something on the radio show's page, and just where people can reach out, and I'll help you keep a list. And it'll be nice to hear from people, won't it?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I mean, that input is good. I mean, that input is good. But I think the main thing that we need to be clear of is this is, I mean, it's performance driven. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, because hell, I'd write myself in.
Yeah. I know how you are, Rodriguez. You burrito, eat chugging son of a gun. I know how you are, dude. You put your name in capital R and capital R, and you scroll it. You say, I'm the man. I know how you are. But really, no, I think we're driving it home to these people. And thank you for this opportunity tonight. We're planting the seed this evening and driving it home to people that when we ask for this input, bringing people's names to my attention, whether it's personal or to the radio or to Chris David, just do so with like somebody who we're just overlooking with that's also putting up big numbers. Because, hey, I'm human. I'm going to overlook some people in this process, and I'll admit it now, just because it's such a vast group to monitor. All of us will work at it, but we may overlook some people. So when I reach out to the public, folks, I'm sure there's going to be some people putting up big numbers that I overlook. So that's the kind of thing we hear of. Not that my boyfriend's cousin, my girlfriend, whatever. Oh, my daughter's boyfriend is so killer. You should give him the plaque. No,
right.
Really, yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. But if you'd like to bring some to my attention that you think I'm overlooking their performance, by all means, my friends, contact Mr. Whipple, and I'll welcome that.
So, Phil, is it too much to throw you on the frying pan if we say get a chance to, of all the races you've watched so far, what's been your favorite class that you've been exposed to with all the Race on Texas stuff that you've been watching?
Factory stock.
Did you just double R? Did you just say factory stock? Oh, I heard you. I heard that. Okay, so I'm a big fan of it, and yes, I do think factory stock is probably my favorite right now, only because it's showcasing so much talent. I'm hearing guys tell me that I interview. Well, I know guys that sold modifieds and sport mods, and now they're buying a nice factory stock because they want to get on board the bandwagon with it. Shit. In other words, they're all seeing the publicity, the attention it's getting, and they want a part of that. They want a piece of that. And so now you've got this growing, huge mix of young talent, middle-aged guys, and old farts, and they get together and Monty Chamberlain and Triton Temple. I could go on and on. There's everything from teeny boppers to old farts that probably should have stopped racing a decade ago, but they're all on board this factory stock train because these bitching old Monte Carlos with fat tires, and they make a little noise, and they pitch them sideways, and by the way, there's shitloads of them, and it turns out to be a very entertaining style of racing. As long as they don't let it go too far, and there's a lot of talk about the cost of it and the shocks and all that. As long as they don't let that shock shit and evolution of chassis technology go too far and let it get out of hand, it will stay super popular and probably continue to dominate the landscape. Just saying.
Yeah, no doubt. Come on, Phil. Admit the highlight for you every weekend is to flip on Race on Texas and see that train. We call those trains out on the backstretch, my man. That's what you like right there. Come on, you know it's true.
Yeah, all right. That's put down the hot chocolate and the hot munchies that we still need up here this time of year, and jump up and down like a kid and say, Debbie, come see the train. I act like a kid. I don't act like I'm 60 when the train goes by. I say, let's count the cars. Oh yeah, I go back to the little kid. You're right. What'd you call it? The 9:30 Express one time?
Yeah, whatever time it is. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's earlier than that, I think, Central Time. But what's the deal with them going both ways? And it's a different style of train. There's like a freight thing that goes from turn, and I got to tell you how wigged out I'd be. The other night, the guys are getting ready to come to green. They roll up off the top of two. They're getting this shit together, getting tight formation, and there's the train right there in their faces to dub up with their concentration as they go green. So there's like a freight thing going from 1 towards or 2 towards 3, but then later on in the evening, it looks like some other kind of deal going the other direction. What's going up with that?
Well, that worries me because it's like I see one going from left to right, and then 10 minutes later, here comes one from the other direction. I'm like, oh shit! And it's funny though because that race that you're talking about, they came down for the start and they were all discombobulated, and we had to restart them again. So I don't know if the train had anything to do with that. But again, so just a synopsis of all of this, and we'll get this podcasted up. I know the social shit's all screwed up, but we'll get it figured out and get graphics behind it and get it up on Facebook. So for folks, we're trying to put a crown or put a plaque with the driver of the year based on performance in the state of Texas. Doesn't matter dirt, asphalt, doesn't matter the class. This is going to be all about performance. And if folks want to reach out to you on Facebook, or you can throw that email address out again because I didn't jot it down. But, I mean, seriously, we want input, but we want realistic input. I mean, when somebody sends over Rodney Rodriguez or Bobby Chaffee driver of the year, that's not the shit we want. I mean, it needs to be realistic.
Exactly. It needs to be serious based, and somebody that, again, just bring somebody to my attention that you think I've overlooked in a remote corner of the state who's putting up good numbers, regardless of the division or on the track surface. And I'm very happy to hear from any Texas race fan, a Louisiana race fan, at the lowercase Phil W61, as in the year I was born, Phil W61 at yahoo.com. I'll use my Yahoo one. And hey, speaking of Yahoo, isn't it lucky? You guys so fortunate, Rodriguez, when you decide to go skip off on your job, that Milton, the Great White Hope, can take over the helm and grab the microphone and go. Aren't you glad?
How about that? How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's I thought those guys did a good job. I mean, I really liked Milton and Owen. I mean, I like that. I like what they did. I thought they were really, really good.
They really were. And I'm just taking an opportunity to pick on Milton because at first, I think in 2019, I wasn't sure what to make of him and his style, and he didn't know me and stuff. But I tell you, Milton really grew on me the last couple of years. When he got ready to retire at the end of last year, I was a little bummed because I like the man now, I like Milton Hope now, and he doesn't holler. He's high energy and gives you information, but he has this laid back kind of style, and I've grown fond of it. And to me, these pre-race shows he's done, he's a natural at this stuff.
He's
the
a
man
great
looks
host.
like he maybe has done college football pre-race or something, but he does interviews and he transitions well. And I've done that kind of stuff some, and it's not easy. And Milton does pretty good on these pre-race shows. I know long hair Hippie Pittman the other night. He always has good things to say, Hippie Pittman. And they did a real nice job. I'm sure Farmer Brungett was happy, and I bet Chris David was happy. And I suspect Marianne was happy too until half in a bag Spillman showed up and shoved everybody out of the camera over there.
Yeah, Backhoe Joe has a funny way of showing up.
He just flies in everywhere out of the blue now.
Yeah.
Well, he's a plane boy right now, so he flies. So even when he's on the ground, he's sort of flying around some stuff. But he's good, awful good in victory lane. He seems like he knows every one of them drivers, and he can get down there and talk to them one-on-one and get some information out of them. So Backhoe Joe does a nice job down on trackside for sure.
Yeah, he's taught me a lot. I mean, people are like, you're picking up dirt track really fast. I'm like, well, when you got somebody here telling you, just in your ear all the time and sending you shit during the week, look for this and say this. I'm like, okay, good helper, or mentor, I would say, for dirt track.
Yes. So when you have a man that knows the sport inside and out, makes your learning curve a little easier, doesn't it, brother?
Absolutely, because before him, I knew jack shit. So it's good. It's good help. So, Phil, man, appreciate you hanging with us tonight, man. Like I said, we'll get this over to the Facebook side because the audio is spot on, and we'll get all the details out. We'll keep hammering. I mean, we're at that halfway point, right? We're past the quarter pole anyway on the season, so we'll really start driving this thing, and let's crown a driver of the year. And once again, man, thanks for your dedication. We have folks in our very own state that aren't as dedicated as you are. So, man, we love the love, dude. We'd be lost without you.
Oh, thank you so very much for the kind words, but it means the world to hear you say that. My heart is into it now as it ever has been. In fact, more so. So thank you for this opportunity again tonight. I value any time I get a few minutes with you guys on the show. Bobby, great to speak with you, and Rodney, thanks so much. Keith, thank you for continuing to beat this drum on this Driver of the Year thing. We'll take it very seriously, and we'll do it right come fall. And yes, it's going to be fun to crown the winners later on. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, have a good one, Phil, and enjoy the northern weather.
Yes, I will, brother. Thank you, guys, and good night now.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good night.
Yes, sir.
Here he is, Phil Whipple. Dedication. And like I said, I mean, seriously, guys, we talk about how the dedication part is so important to racing. That dude ain't nowhere near us. And you would think that he has been going to Pan American Speedway and all these different places, man. That's the guy's who.
Mm-hmm. He's knee deep in it. But it's kind of like Milton said he was going to retire, right? All of us say we're going to retire. I guess I was the one that stayed retired the longest. I think I ended up staying retired for about 2.5 years without going to the racetrack.
I just scaled back. I just was going to scale back. I never said the R word. I'll never say that, just like I never say it with the steering wheel thing. So just scale back a little bit, but. Yeah, good for Milton. I mean, to jump back in there, and they really were good. I mean, I really did think that they did a great job. I mean,
they really did.
Yeah. The chemistry there between those two. I mean, they bounced off each other really well, and the people don't get it that this is hard to do. I mean, this really is hard to do. I mean, we make it look easy, and others do as well. I mean, others do as well. I'm not just talking about us, but this is really hard shit to do, man. And
It
you
really
have to be prepared.
Well, it's just being able to see it, right? It's one thing. It's so different now with the way that everything gets done, because now you have to find that happy medium now between
Right.
broadcasting and entertaining on the racetrack. You know, it's one thing to have a good show that talks to the fans in front of you, because they're the ones that are right there. They bring the energy to you. You can't feel the energy at home from the people like Phil Whipple that are loving the hell out of the stream that they're watching on Race on Texas.
Right.
So there's got to be a happy medium. Some are better than others at catering to the broadcast. Some are better than others at catering to the live crowd. And it's a fine mixture that you have to find a way to make that happen so that everybody gets the best deal that they can in terms of the value online and then the entertainment value in person.
Yeah, and they really are different. I mean, because seriously, when I was apologizing for the words and getting called the principal's office, I mean, when I thought the streaming part was done, I went into PA mode, and I mean, you know how it is. I mean, you go into PA mode, and that's totally different. I mean, that is totally different. I mean, I know that we don't quite have all the FCC stuff and whatever with this, but I mean, when you're on site, when you're the MC, I mean, you're the MC of this thing. That is totally different, and I mean, that's what happened there, and it really is. I mean, you have some guys that are really good at one and maybe struggle with the other, but to figure them both out and figure out the balance, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And there's a lot of folks that do it extremely well, and those guys did a damn good job. And then when you factor Joe in, doing what he does, they were the Von Erichs, man. They did a good job.
Yeah, they really did. They knocked it out of the park, and it was fun to watch and listen to, and you know, kudos to everybody involved. And you know, it's just it's a fun time to be a race fan. Whether you talk about a race fan, you know, up north, down south, wherever it may be, it's a good time to be a race fan. Now, if Mother Nature just cooperates a little bit more and can actually, you know, keep some of these races from being rained out, that'd be a really big help.
Yeah. Again, so coming up for the week, we'll obviously we're gonna get everything figured out on the technology side and hopefully sync back up and get something else for this live cast during the week. If we can't, we'll get JJ Day moving forward. Hopefully, if we don't do something this week, hopefully closer to, because next week then we go to Houston. So this will all time out. But again, we're posting there. If you're get the feed at some point on the video part, that's our stuff for COTA. You'll have one show on Saturday. You'll have one show on Sunday that are at hornfm.com and on the radio and on the Horn app, and really looking forward to that. If you don't have somewhere to go, get on out to COTA, get yourself a general admission ticket, and go support this, because this is a really big deal. I mean, it really is big that you have this traveling circus that's coming to town, that's coming to our backyard here in Central Texas. I mean, it'd be the same thing if we had a road course sitting in Corpus Christi or had a road course in San Antonio. It's just the volume of it finally happening. And I mean, put the other stuff aside. I mean, I know a lot of us are with our man Tavo, you know, with everything that happened with him there. I mean, I know a lot of folks are turned off to COTA, but this is not so much a COTA deal. This is more of a TMS event, and let's just go and let's enjoy this. This is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, no, it's big. It's big. Don't take for granted how big this is to have a NASCAR Cup Series race in Austin. It's I just wish we could get Austin more involved. I think that Austin will eventually become more involved. I hope this isn't a one and done.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think that the way that, I mean, unless this race is a total failure, I don't think it's going to end up being a one and done. But you never know nowadays.
Yeah, you never know. It's a hotly contested market these days for these races. So again, we'll check back in later during the week. Have lots of COTA coverage coming up for you, and all of that good stuff. Thank you for bearing with us, whether you're on the audio side, if you stayed on the social side, we appreciate it. We'll get everything figured out. And we'll hammer it back down once again. Great Monday, I guess.
Yeah. Always a fun, exciting Monday.
God bless America. All right, y'all, take care of each other out there. I mean, I know that things are getting back to normal. Just respect each other, crying out loud. If somebody wants to wear a mask and you don't, or vice versa, it's all good. It's all good. Just get along. Everything's going to be fine. Be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well. Afterwards, Bobby, final thoughts, my man.
It's race week. Happy race week, everybody.
Go get it. Go get it. We are back next week or later this week. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.